have lots and lots of questions, and the first question is coming is from someone who has read the book, and the person is asking. In fact, Vivek sir was going to handle this part today, but because there's a bit of pressure and questions coming, so the question is, what is endearment, firm endearment, and what does exactly it means? So, who wants to take this question?
I leave it to Waldemar. Waldemar, do you want?
Go ahead, go do it, yeah. Uwe.
Okay, so the firms of endearment is a concept developed by Sisodia et al. And it is, let's say, in a parallel synchronized way, they developed a concept called firms of endearment. But what they did already is something what we only do now is that we want to have empirical case study book so that we can show that some companies already have installed or implemented some parts of H2H marketing. There will not be any company implementing all the ideas of H2H marketing right now. This is true for firms of endearment also. So these firms of endearment since years work on the human part. So they already have identified that they have to be companies and people who are loved by other people, and so they have to behave like that, and so that they are really getting firms of endearment. And what they did, Sisodia et al., is that they already proved empirically by statistical data that these firms of endearment are much more successful than companies who are not applying such a approach to get loved by the customers, get loved by the partners, suppliers, and whatever. And I would like to announce the example of Amazon. Amazon is loved by the customers. I'm pretty sure that nobody here is not using Amazon, and so maybe we have some exceptions. In fact, I hate them. So I also am very emotional with Amazon. Maybe I'm one of the single or few ones, but I'm in relationship with them as a supplier. And as a supplier, they treat me like definitely not like a human being. So I'm not respected, and I'm pretty sure this will come because we are all living in an ecosystem. This will have once a negative impact on Amazon. So instead of only being one direction and say, oh, we love our customers and we want to get loved by our customers, take care. Firms of endearment have very different stakeholders, and these stakeholders love the company, the brand, the value proposition, what they have. That's for me the answer.
Absolutely.
Can I build on that? I mean, the empirical work from the firms of endearment is very precious, and we have not reached that stage. And would like to ask anybody who wants to work with us that we can actually come up with some real data about the improvement. There is no doubt about, as Ellen said, that the H2H concept is creating a competitive advantage. We have identified a couple of companies who are doing great work. I mean, Amazon is doing great work in the one direction, not in the other direction. Yeah, but there are certain small banks, there are small suppliers. I mean, some people know Patagonia as one example. I mean, in the US, there's a company called Whole Foods who provides fantastic food items to people and serve their suppliers wonderful. By the way, it's owned by Amazon. Phil talked about Unilever, who is pursuing a stakeholder approach. I mean, this kind of situations we have today, but currently it's only a couple of companies who are using this concept. Of course, in the pharma industry, there are also small pharma companies who are building on that. The large one have a different power position. And of course, that is the question to you. Is there a chance to change that? Because the pharma is so close to the human. So if you put your profit a little bit in the backstage, you actually could achieve much more and could build up the trust on a much higher dimension. So I think what you're doing here is actually a super great approach. Number one, to spread the H2H concept. Number two, also to educate the executives in the various industry, particular pharma, also food and related industry, to think more for the future. Of course, also gaining competitive advantage, but also thinking about sustainability and better living conditions.
Great. I mean, that's really comprehensive. I'm sure person who has asked this question, and since the person has gone through the book, they must be really delighted. There is another question. I mean, there are lots and lots of questions coming to me, and I see so many hands up there. So Swati, you have to send me questions because there are really so many. So for a business develop, sorry, yeah, I'll just ask this question.
Yes, Yamuna.
For a business development intern in this era of digitalization and pandemic times, how to use digital media to approach the corporates for selling their products and services, and how does H2H marketing work here? Um, so
Prashant, you want to answer?
Okay. Well, I actually look at this. There is no force fit formula anyway.
Gauri.
I mean, you got to actually understand what's the company's product and what's the kind of nature of business that it is into. Once you study the proposition of what they have to offer to their clients, it might be interesting to see what kind of solutions in the digital form that they would want to really adopt. Might make sense to really try small things. There's this wonderful comment on the book in terms of how do you innovate your services, and the best way to look at it is very two contradicting styles. And I for a moment had to just twitch my eyes to see whether I read it right. I mean, it spoke about and spoke about how do you explore something and how do you exploit something. Well, they both are so contrastingly different, and the best is they both are not mutually exclusive. They have to be used hand in hand. And what might make sense is for a company to use an exploitive methodology, which is look at things that are working, because you need to get success, and early success is going to start allowing you to have the energy and the flexibility to experiment certain things. So it'll be a mix of using something that's working for an organization, and once you worked on something, look at what are the new avenues that you might want to explore, for which you might have to experiment and experience certain things.
Very good. Great.
Yeah, and Gauri, can you repeat the question for me, because maybe I have misinterpreted it.
okay, so the question was, for a business development intern in this era of digitalization and pandemic times, how to use digital media to approach the corporates for selling their products and services, and how can H2H marketing help us here? So that was the question.
So when I understand correctly, so we have two phenomena here, right? So we are on a distance, means because of Corona, we are working from home and we cannot reach our corporates, right? That is one thing.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, how can I convince them when I'm not present? Is that true?
Yes, that's what.
Okay. When the corporates don't have the mindset, you will not reach them, neither from distance nor from the office. No chance at all. Point number one. Point number two, when you really want to, to let them think, fake it, make it, and then let them use it. So that means digital services, digital things are abstract because we cannot touch them. So make them more tangible by using I call it a pre-totype. It's not a prototype. You can pre-totype any idea and make it tangible and let them use. And then let's see what happens, because then they are immediately going over from a C-level or whatever into a user, into a normal human being. And that's something what we have to do. Otherwise, we cannot convince them.
Fantastically. Yeah, so true. From distance or from near, if customer is not with you, you can't reach customer unless you understand empathetically what exactly he wants. or she wants. There is another question on design thinking. Which organizational cultures are better placed to imbibe the design thinking mindset as compared to others? So this can be answered either by the authors or the speakers, whoever wants to quickly. There are so many questions. I don't know how to pick them because they are just coming. So take it up.
So
Who is
let me answer, and I would request Professor Ove to aid on that, because he has studied design thinking for 10 years. I'm practicing design thinking for 7 8 years. So, which kind of organization? Because see, there is a lot of confusion first on the understanding, but I assume that the prospect understand the design thinking. Then which kind of organization can take it? Number one, I'm not giving the name of the organization. I'm giving you the kind of organization. It is not necessarily that design thinking is a very costly affair. Only big companies can take it. No, it is as simple as that. A startup, I'm actually promoting to a startup design thinking. They are much more proactive, embracing than the big corporates. So any company, big or small, if they have the proper mindset, they will adopt it. Second thing is that the chief, because this is something which will not go through without the buying of the top management. So in Dr. Reddy's, I personally saw that design thinking came from the vice chairman. He himself was in the field. He brought IDEO. He approved another design company, consulting company to work with me in India, and McKinsey and company as well. So it is always top management, but I'm also saying that there are some organizations who are giving you means marketeers here, space to experiment. They are not penalizing you. They are giving you a space to experiment. You, even as a brand manager, also for the communicating to your customers, making your communication plan, making your campaign, patient support program, you can use design thinking. So and later on, once you do the small design thinking work and show that its impact, I think your higher management will also love to use it in anywhere. So we need a champion, a organization which has a champion mindset will use it. That's the general answer, but I think Professor Uwe has a much broader experience across the globe. I would request him to aid it, to put it something from your Professor Uwe. You want to say?
Yeah, I always try to keep it as simple as possible, and I never succeed. That's maybe a problem with the professor, right? So I try to answer questions like that always. Design thinking was not invented as a mindset,
yeah,
but phenomenally, it appeared to be a mindset. So later on, so that's very interesting. I always try to tell my students or my industrial clients who want to use design thinking, and now they are curious to hear what is the difference between design thinking and H2H mindset. I tell them, well, close your eyes, open your senses, all the senses. Try to reincarnate as a kid, as a small children, and try to remember how you learned and how you experienced the world. And that's exactly what I do. So I try to teach and train them again to open all senses and to experience the world with all senses, and to get back to this inner voice we have in us. Okay, we have an inner system, and we are so manipulated by our stupid education system. Sorry, and I'm part of it. And we are trained in such a linear way, and we lose our experimental thinking and mindset. So when I ask you to remember how a coin tastes, I'm pretty sure everybody can answer. And that's something what we learned, and that mindset we had. We tried it, right? We tried everything. And today we are very careful, not trying to make a failure, and try to look in books and teach us how we should do it, and design thinking exactly like that. Okay, don't only rely on books and don't rely only on quantitative data. Open your heart and open your mind to other disciplines. Don't get so stupid to say, I'm an engineer, so I have a training and a mindset. It's trained in input, put, output. And of course, the business administration or economic guy will tell the same. I'm trained in input, put, output. So only the put is different, right? The put in the, let's say, socialist word and so on, and the human sciences is a human. And in the engineering part, it's a machine. But it's always the same. And it's linear. And that's something what we have to get rid of. Not I am right. Okay, why we are struggling of having not right. I turn it why I'm struggling with not knowing everything, because I only have one life. And at the same time we are living embedded in an ecosystem, and it's so multiple diverse that we should use the diversity of human beings. And that's something what we are really, I'm faced with that day by day, that we cannot say, okay, I take your point of view and I shut up when I'm out of my competence. And so that maybe that was a very general answer. It has not only to deal with design thinking. Design thinking projects make it very transparent.
Yeah. No, but indeed, it's very interesting answer. And I have one very interesting question as well here. The person here who probably is from marketing department is asking that I have empathy for my customers. I understand their human problems, but when I try to implement them through the sales representative who may or may not have the empathy, what do I do? Because when they reach out to customers not so empathetically, and customer gets kind of angry, and that leads to a lot of negativity. Any solution, either Professor Waldemar or anyone?
I would like to give it to Sally because he can have a solution on the digital side, but of course there are also physical solution, right? Isn't it?
Yes, yes.
There
So
is, yes. So I think the very simple answer to what can I do is to train, right? Because I don't think there is people are switches. You can't switch empathy on, or patient centricity on, or human centeredness on. They need to undergo a lot of training, and I think one step before that is that we need to kind of embed that into the culture of the organization. Because if the organization does not support a culture of empathy and customer centeredness, I don't think anybody in the organization will absorb it, right? So you may feel that you are very empathetic because you are not in front of the customer, but the guy who is in front of the customer is dealing with a problem of a different scale. Maybe we don't have empathy with him, right? Maybe we should think about that as well. Are we empathizing with our salesperson, trying to understand what problems he's going through, right? So there's this whole culture of empathy that needs to be done. So that, I think, is the most simple thing to do. uh, digital solutions obviously exist because you have an option of minimizing the dilution of a message when you have a direct to customer connect. A direct to customer connect does not mean that you have to forget about you circumspect or go around the medical rep or the sales representative. That's not the point. The idea of digital help, in especially in the pharmaceutical industry, is to augment the role of the field colleague, right? So I think we are one of those very rare industries which has a huge advantage of having direct customer contact. I think the telecom industry, the aviation industry, and hundreds of other industries will give a hand and a leg to do what we do. We are on first name basis with so many of our customers. We've been meeting them for years together. We have phenomenal amount of relationship. So I think that part of thing cannot be taken, out of the equation. So it's not a non-rep model, I will, digital will not take away that whole concept. But I think what happens is you can augment that. If you feel that the sales colleague or the field colleague is unable to, in his limited capability, not able to handle customer relationship well, I think a multi-channel approach or a direct approach that you can do with your customers can kind of augment or kind of minimize the damage that happens. So over a period of time, for example, let me give you a very pharma specific example, and Professor Uwe and Waldemar, please bear with me while I do this. So, how do we look at an iPad? Most companies are today giving an iPad to the field colleague and saying that that's digitalization. What is the understanding of the iPad? If we are using the iPad to create a PDF of the print visual aid and put it on top of that, it's essentially paper on glass. It's not going to make any difference. And the field colleague and the doctor's idea, when the doctor is, the visibility is small because the size of the screen is much smaller than the physically printed visual aid, and so therefore the comparison is wrong. And the feedback that comes to the organization is digital doesn't work. Now, the point here is that we haven't understood how to use digital. So I think it goes back to our understanding of what the customer wants, how am I able to deal with him, and that has to be institutionalized. If it is not institutionalized within the organization, it becomes very difficult for us to expect that people who are, relatively junior in terms of experience and training will be able to carry forward something that we expect in our wisdom to happen, from a senior level. So there's a lot of different things that can happen, but I think it's all about understanding how we want the company to deal with customers, and how much premium we place on customer relationships.
Absolutely. So,
Can
Can I build
yeah.
on that a little bit? I mean,
Yeah.
that training aspect, which you said at the beginning, is absolutely true. But again, we need the top-down approach. Yeah, we have to train the decision maker first. Then, when we go to the leaders and the middle managers, and then to the front line. So the training is actually one of the important aspects, and it's a long-term training because we are changing human behavior, actually the mindset first and then the behavior. So I think we cannot expect that to happen tomorrow. But we have examples in medium-sized companies and small companies, and these companies are surviving. I mean, they do better products, they have more customer satisfaction, they have more employee satisfaction, and at the end of the day, the situation is better. Of course, they're threatened by private equity companies. Of course, they're threatened by government regulations or non-existing government regulations, depends on that. So it's actually work on various layers. And I've seen some of the questions which are coming in are super interesting. I mean, we probably need another 5 hours to work on all these questions. Yeah. And I know it's not 12 o'clock at night in 12:30 in India. So I actually would like to propose that we are coming pretty soon to an end, but should have another session. I mean, where we really discuss the ongoing questions which some of the speakers, one of the speakers voiced, and also the participant voice. And from my side of view, I want to have case studies. We mentioned a couple of companies who have already reached that. Do we have this kind of companies in India? Can we build on that? Can we use this as example to show it to other people? Can we build up a training scheme on top of that? I mean, there are so many questions which I picked out of this. So I'm pretty happy. Uwe wants to say something more, but I'm pretty happy. And I want to come to an end because it's not only our capacity, it's your capacity too. So, and there is more need to do more. Uwe.
Well, I have two responses and two add-ons. First of all, to Waldemar, I had the same idea. Can we save at least all these questions and by saving the chat, yeah, and send it to us so that we can work on it? Because for me, it's a gold mine, these kind of questions. I really love it. And I don't want to give up the opportunity to work on it. And of course, I want to respond to them. So I don't know if we are able by the chat to respond to the people. I have no idea because not everybody might be registered with the right name or whatever. So it would be wonderful when we have a certain digital base where we can put the questions on, and where everybody of the participants who raised questions can get there I don't know, in 2 weeks of time maybe, and we leave our answers there and we can have then a next discussion, because that's really something what we want to achieve. I can remember that we were quite anxious that no questions will appear, and it happens always with me. I don't know why, but we have a lot of questions because it's provocative and it gives us some new ideas, and we don't know how can we implement it in our real situation. So that is one proposal. And second, oh, congrats, Salil. I really like your answer. It needs training. Concrete, Waldemar. It needs training from top to down, and from left to right, and from bottom to up, and from right to left. So that's because we all are still coming from a hierarchical, directive world. But on the same time, we coming from this directive world, we know that we cannot handle the transformations we are now faced with. And I call it the age of transformation. We are in an age of transformation. And so the book is not only about marketing, actually. It should make H2H mindset is not for marketing. H2H mindset is for the transformation. So how can we stem this transformation? And I tell you, we cannot do it without the mindset. And to answer the precise question from our participant, I also believe in training, and there is another hint. I know that sometimes it's cruel, but I say I'm not a female, and I'm sorry about that, because females have a wonderful advantage. By nature, they are much more trained in empathy than us males. Listen, this is, for me, it's very true, because from beginning, they care, and they listen. And when my wife or any other female is asking me, I have a problem, can we talk about it? After 2 seconds, I'm in the solutions part. But she's not interested in the solution. She wants me to understand the problem. And of course, that's the same for the sales representative, okay? We have to learn to listen, number one, and it's more listening between the lines to get the emotions out of it. And when a sales representative is refusing ideas, he or she is under fire, okay? And when they are under fire, they cannot open their heart, and it's not possible to talk to them. So all the training will only work when the top management is on our board, number one, and all the people only will listen and work on themselves when they are open for self-reflection. Without self-reflection, there is no empathy. So we all talk about empathy, but I think to listen to us internally, in us as human beings, is the first precondition. And I loved your comments a little. Sorry for looking there. You are maybe here. That's unfortunately with the thing with Zoom and other. I cannot look in your eyes, unfortunately. But this is so true that we have to listen to the representative too. Understand him or her. Use the core motives of human beings. Look better, feel better, do better, be better. It's so simple. When I respect these 4 motives, and I'm sure one of these motives is preventing the sales representative to listen, then you can open him or her by being empathetic to him or her and the situation, the context.
Thank you. Thank you wonderfully. And as Professor Waldemar has said, that you will be called again and again, because if I just look at the number of questions coming, I just can't focus on which one to take. So everybody wants to talk to you more.
3 more questions, please.
3 more questions, can I? Oh, great. So there are
That's
quite
all.
a few questions. Okay.
That's your
so,
responsibility, Waldemar.
Distribute them.
Okay, so there is one question which says that our industry is heavily regulated by regulations. So how do we actually work around human-to-human marketing? Because there are a lot of things that we are not allowed to do, or for that matter, even to involve patients actively. So they're asking. Oh yes, Professor Uwe.
I always can only talk with stories, and I know exactly what you mean. I was a former dean of my university, And as a dean, I had to learn a hard lesson that we all, because we all are public, a different education system than in India. And so we depend and rely on the regulations of our Ministry of Education, okay? The first thing I have to do, and that's true for my whole life, I learn the rules and regulations, and afterwards I trick them. So you have to understand the frame, right? You have to understand the box before you can leave it. But then you can really you can work on it. You can work even with the regulators. There are human beings in the regulation apparatus, right? In the machine. There are people, there are humans, and you can convince them that it's not necessary that somebody who comes as a foreigner to Germany, he or she has to handle the language in a C1 level. That's a European classification level. Even Germans, most of the Germans don't reach this level. So that's nonsense, right? So, and you can convince your ministry when you have the right people you can talk to. But first you have to understand the regulation, understand the frame, then you can manipulate it. That
Absolutely.
was
So
my answer.
yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Professor Waldemar has allowed me to take two more out of three. One is over. So H2H approach, how will it be useful for a new launching organization, particularly when there are a lot of big organizations out there having kind of transaction with doctors? So that's the question. Will it work for a new startup, or is it too expensive a thing to do?
I mean,
I think if you allow me, I can answer because I work with the startup companies. Uh, in ecosystem, startup ecosystem in Hyderabad, we have T Hub. And there are multiple ecosystem in Hyderabad which supports the startup. And you see, very frequently we do workshop on design thinking. I personally myself has conducted workshop for design thinking for startups. Same way customer experience for a startup. For them it is simple because see the value of design thinking or H2H marketing is that Professor Balmer say as well as when Philip Kotler said that fail faster. So a startup company, they are lean, decision making is very quick. So they are first thing they embrace that faster, and then they try it, they iterate it faster. So I think if you ask me, and if you, which kind of company are taking design thinking or S2S approach more, it is a startup company, not the big organization.
Okay. And
I also I also can agree to that. The startups have actually the better chance to be closer to the humans because they can have they don't have the big rules. I'll give you the example of Spotify. I mean, everybody. I don't know if Spotify has reached everybody in India, but
yes,
it is changing the behavior of people, and it's disrupting the existing players in them. And we will see disruption in the pharma industry too. Of course, there is government regulation for good reasons, but as we just learned on Uwe's comment, there are actually ways around. And the big guys try it, but if the small companies are reacting flexibly, they will win too. And remember, big guys were small companies before.
Well, and let me answer because there was a last question in the chat. Can we use H2H marketing for small scale business as well as for MNCs? Yes, we can, but take care. Being small doesn't mean that you have a proper mindset of the founder, right? So the founder can be very product and technology oriented. And so you have to work on the mindset. On the same time, you can have a multinational corporation like Unilever, where there were some of the C-level people already have this mindset, then it's easier because they have the power to do it, right? But to get thousands of people in a stream of the nearly the same mindset or a similar mindset means a huge effort. So for both, it might be a huge effort. When you have a founder which already has a proper mindset, it's easier, definitely. But there is no warranty because of people.
Absolutely. So thank you. Thank you so much. There are so many still questions, but that is only our reason to call you again for such forums. So please come back and we can have a longer session and a lot more discussion. So over to you, Dr. Swati.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gauri ma'am. First of all, thank you, dear professors, Professor Uwe and Professor Waldemar, for such insights. And as proposed by Professor Uwe, so we are going to design that Q&A with you for all the questions that have come today in the chat box. We will connect you to that particular gold mine, and we can explore more together. Yeah, and it has been more than 2.5 hours of great learning, fantastic discussions on H2H marketing, what a human-to-human marketing happened here. It's a live example, and we all are very, very grateful to all the speakers and authors, and especially Gauri ma'am, you moderated so well today. Professor Kotler we asked about 1 hour from him, and he delighted us with 1.5 hours. So that is what marketing is. You have to delight. And really, really amazed today to see the happenings. I really feel that all the pharma professionals, CEOs, and MDs who connected today, they will follow this particular concept. They'll read this book. The mindset will change. Not quickly, but surely it will happen if we do such sessions. If we keep discussing, things will change. That is what happens always.
Let me say thank you to you. We are very happy that you organized that. You see, the major task what we have currently is to make the term H2H marketing knowledge to many more people. And you did a great job helping us, and you help not only us, but also you and the whole human race, whatever, to come to a better world. There's still long things to do. We're working for it. Thank you.
Professor Waldemar, still you're not visible. So another session is due because we have to see you. So that one thing I'm asking
Swati,
you.
I only can enforce this message. Thank you very much. So
Yes.
well done, because, you know, I have so many interviews with companies right now, and C-level managers asking, what is H2H, how can we implement it? And I said, did you read the book? No. Did you understand the book? Twice no. So it is and this event was one of these great opportunities to translate it into the language of the people. And this is something what you all did for us. And therefore that's a gold mine for me, getting all these questions. Really, thank you very much. Namaste to India.
Namaste,
Just be there with us for 2 more minutes, Professor. Professor Uwe, one thing I'm taking from you is fail quickly and quickly, keep failing till you get to that point where you start learning. And Satish, please, we can have a video which we specially made for thanking everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Satish. He's the co-founder of Pharmacist Academy. There are a few things that are formalities that I have to do. I have to announce the quiz winners. So there are 5 winners: Komal Trivedi, Sneha Shivkumar, Ashutosh Kunwar, Prankur, and Debashish S. They all have got 100% in the Philip Kotler quiz. The
Congratulations.
only difference is one is completing in 23 seconds, another one is completing in 24 seconds, and the other one in 25.
Wow.
The top 5
Fastest finger
performers.
first.
Yep. And top 5 performers will get 17th edition of the book Principles of Marketing by Philip Kotler. You will receive the book. Regarding the certificates, since the traffic was very heavy, we had a lot of participants registering even at the last moment, around 5,000. So the certificates will go one by one. Please be patient. Things will happen, but patience has to be there. We will be sending the certificates to all of you. Anyone who has missed it, who wants to revisit this particular session, you can revisit on Pharmastate Academy website. We will be uploading and announcing through the mail. You can revisit at Facebook Live, because this whole session was recorded Facebook Live, and it will also be put up at the YouTube channel of Pharmastate Academy. That is all from my side. I'm so grateful to all the participants who joined today. It's lively to see all the human to human interactions happening nowadays. Yes, Professor.
I just want to use the opportunity. If there are some Christ heights out there, I love you.
We love you.
Welcome back, Professor Waldemar.
Yes, now visible. Yes.
Oh my.
Somebody made it happen that I reappear.
So nice.
Okay. Looking forward for next time. Thank you. See you. Bye-bye.
Waldemar. Bye. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.